Alex is on a plane heading to Paris when, in the next moment, the plane begins to experience severe turbulence. The aircraft struggles to maintain balance, and emergency oxygen masks automatically deploy. People quickly put on the masks, but unfortunately, a gaping hole is torn in the fuselage, and passengers are sucked out by the strong airflow. No, that's right. Then a massive explosion struck, killing Alex and all the passengers on the plane. In an instant, Alex found himself back a few minutes earlier, realizing he had encountered a terrifying future. He frantically shouted that the plane would explode and urged everyone to get off quickly, or they would be blown up. However, no one believed him, and the aggressive classmate Carter thought he was losing his mind and physically attacked Alex, leading to both of them being dragged off the plane. Alex screamed desperately for everyone to evacuate, and his friend Todd decided to get off to help him. Claire sensed that Alex was not joking and hurriedly escaped the plane as well. After disembarking, the officer restrained Alex and Carter. Nix's having lost the opportunity for a 10-day trip to Paris. Mr. Layton asks Alex what happened, and he says he saw everyone die in the explosion after the plane took off. Claire almost laughs out loud, and Todd thinks he is just acting to provoke Carter, walking over to taunt him, and implying that Alex is a freak. Alex, furious, wants to punch Carter, and just as everyone tries to stop the conflict between the two, the plane explodes. Everyone was in shock. What Alex said was actually true. Carter was left speechless, especially since they had been spared thanks to Alex. In this incident, all 278 passengers perished, including 40 students and Mr. Layton's husband. No one on the plane survived, and the families of the classmates came to take them home, leaving only Claire all alone, who was taken home by Alex. A month later, Alex attended a memorial service for his roommate, and saw several survivors had come. At this moment, Carter angrily tells Alex that it was not Alex who saved him, but rather that he has a strong fate and controls his own destiny. Unbeknownst to him, his fate has already been controlled by death. Todd had met with Alex for a while and wanted to take Alex out for some fun, but it seems there may no longer be that opportunity. Claire gives flowers to Alex, thanking him for saving his life. After attending the memorial service, Todd returns home, and while using the bathroom, the toilet's water pipe starts to leak, with a liquid resembling a side effect flowing unintentionally into a puddle. Todd plans to shave, but accidentally cuts himself, not even noticing the liquid. The liquid had already flowed to his side and was about to reach his feet, but Todd had left luck behind, narrowly escaping a fatal slip. At home, Alex notices an omen when an owl flies to the window. He throws a magazine to scare it away, but the pages fall into the electric fan, getting shredded into pieces, with one fragment landing on his leg. Alex sees Todd's name on the fragment. Meanwhile, Todd, possibly going through puberty, has a strong desire for the opposite sex and, not knowing where he got them, is showing off stockings and underwear, completely unaware that the liquid is closing in behind him just as he reaches for the underwear. At a critical moment, Todd looks towards the door, which has long been shut by a sinister wind, and now no one can save him. His father is asleep in the living room, and Todd cannot make any sound. He wants to use the nose hair scissors next to him to cut the rope, but due to the slippery liquid on his feet, he keeps slipping and cannot support his body or reach the scissors, ultimately leading to suffocation from lack of oxygen. Then, something strange happens. The liquid mysteriously returns to the sewer, and Death fabricates a suicide case. Alex is worried that Todd is coming to find him, but he discovers that something might have happened at his home. He quickly asks the officer if something happened to Todd. At that moment, Claire appears behind him, signaling Alex to leave quickly. Todd's body is seen being carried out, and Todd's father blames Alex for not meeting Todd's brother and not getting off the plane, which made Todd feel guilty and led to his suicide. Alex angrily states that Todd would never commit suicide. Otherwise, how could he have said that? With me. If he was thinking about carrying himself. Todd's father left sadly. Alex looked at Claire, and he was already gone. The next day, he went to find Claire, and asked him why he was also at Todd's house. Although Claire couldn't foresee danger, he sensed it, and Alex always felt that they couldn't escape death. To verify if this sixth sense was real, the two decided to visit Todd. They climbed into the funeral home where Todd was, sneaking into the morgue, where they found Todd. Suddenly, Todd sat up, scaring Alex nearly to death, and the coroner walked over. The coroner explains that Todd's hand moving was simply due to the chemicals. Alex insists that his friend did not commit suicide, and must have died in an accident. However, the coroner states that people only have a predetermined fate, which is merely a program designed in advance by death. Those who escape death's grasp will have new death programs prepared for them, and to survive, they must predict when and how disaster will strike. Alex feels that, according to the coroner, every breath and every action in the future could trigger a series of catastrophic butterfly effects. Alex did not foresee Todd's death unless he could discern the clues leading up to it, but signs began to appear, and he realized that he could glean some insights from these omens. Claire thought that these analyses were a bit ridiculous. At that moment, Alex saw a bus reflected on the glass, and turned to look, but there was no bus on the street behind him. Alex didn't notice that this was also a sign. Just then, Carter and his girlfriend appeared on the street, and they spotted Alex. Carter initially intended to leave but changed his mind, making a sharp turn to go find Alex, nearly hitting Billy in the process. Carter brought Teddy with him to where Alex was, and Mr. Layton also showed up. Here, Carter struck up a conversation with the teacher, while Alex warned Carter that everyone was in danger. As a result, Carter's expression changed dramatically, and he exploded in anger, leading to another argument between the two. Teddy found both of them unreasonable. After all, a person cannot be brought back to life. After venting her anger at her boyfriend, she broke up with Carter. Alex, every time you see him, you can just drop dead. Oh. Alex begins to search for the reasons on his own. He discovers in the news that there was a liquid leak in the airplane cabin seats that led to an explosion due to contact with sparks. He feels there is a connection between the survivors' deaths and the seating arrangement, so he sketches it out, and prints the seating positions of several people, finding that the explosion path aligns with their seats. First it was Todd, then Teddy, and the next one is Mr. Layton. Mr. Layton's husband tragically died in that incident, and he plans to move to a new environment, inadvertently looking out the window. Slayton was terrified. In his eyes, Alex was a harbinger of death, bringing misfortune wherever he went. So, he quickly called the police, while Alex began searching for clues, checking if the teacher's car had any oil leaks or flat tires. However, an officer arrived, and Alex explained that he was just checking the safety of the tires, but he came off as somewhat neurotic. The officer took Alex away, and only after he left did Slayton feel a sense of relief, unaware that he had severed his only lifeline. A strange wind blew through, leaving Layton puzzled. The windows were clearly closed, so where did the wind come from? He also saw a shadow on the kettle. He felt uneasy because there was nothing behind him. Alex candidly told the officer that he believed the next to die might be Mr. Layton. Unfortunately, the officer thought he was just being dramatic. Alex vented his anger, stating that he had indeed saved 6 lives on the plane, but his classmates treated him like a monster. He also revealed the death pattern, suggesting that if they could uncover its secrets, they could save lives. Survivors of the plane crash continued to die, and each time a death occurred, Alex was present. However, the officer couldn't find any evidence against Alex, and ultimately had to let him go. At the same time, Mr. Layton boiled water and poured it into a cup, which startled him, as it was engraved with the school's text and patterns. That incident became a psychological shadow for him. Mr. Layton then took out a bottle of ice water from the fridge, and when he poured it into the cup cracked, spilling the liquid inside, but he didn't notice. While drinking, he plugged in the computer's power cord, and the spilled liquid leaked into the computer, causing a short circuit. Soon, smoke began to rise from the computer. When he leaned in to take a closer look, the computer suddenly exploded, and a shard struck the artery in his neck, prompting Mr. Layton to seek help. The sparks from the computer ignited the wine on the floor, and the flames followed the trail of wine into the kitchen, instantly igniting the gas stove. The flames entered the bottle of liquor, causing an explosion, putting Mr. Layton's life in jeopardy. Alex arrived at the teacher's house, and saw no abnormalities from the outside, while Mr. Layton inside wanted to grab the towel above, but unfortunately, Alex heard a noise and went in to check, arriving just in time to see that Mr. Layton had only one last breath left. The disaster was still ongoing. Now, anything could be fatal for Mr. Layton. Then, another explosion struck, and this time, Mr. Layton was killed instantly. Alex originally intended to save him and pulled the dagger from his body. Touching the dagger would make Alex a suspect, which left Yuri in a difficult position. He quickly fled, but left behind footprints. Billy passed by and saw Alex hurriedly running out of Mr. Layton's house, which provided solid evidence against him. Then, the house experienced a massive explosion. The officer, using eyewitness accounts and the footprints, identified Alex as a suspect and began searching for him. Claire did not betray him, and did not tell the officer where Alex was. 3 people are already dead, and the skeptical Carter has no choice but to believe in the supernatural. The remaining 3 survivors go to find Alex, as he is the only one who knows who will be next. They split up to search for Claire, and find Alex, who is alone by the sea, despondent, and unable to let go. Claire encourages him to pull himself together, and not to give up. He lost his father at a young age, and his mother also left him, but Alex saved his life. Alex shines like a beam of light in the dark abyss for Claire. Persuaded by Claire, Alex regains his fighting spirit, and the remaining 4 regroup. Since the officer is trying to capture Alex, they need to find a place to hide. Alex tells everyone that no one can escape the knowledge of their impending death. Carter is extremely distressed, and vents his frustration by driving recklessly. Alex realizes that Carter's seatbelt is faulty and urges him to pull over, but in his distraction, Carter runs a red light and nearly collides with another car. Then, Alex sees a train through the car window, which he believes is a sign of the impending accident. Claire tells Carter to stop, and they find themselves at the train tracks. Carter stops at the tracks, thinking that since they are all going to die anyway, why should he let others control their fate? Even in death, one must control their own demise. Then a train came rushing by, and everyone urged him to quickly open the door. After showing off for a while, Carter finally opened the door. After the three of them got out, Alex urged Carter not to be negative and to get out of the car quickly. After a series of persuading, Carter changed his mind. He wanted to survive, but when he restarted the car, it wouldn't start, and the train was approaching. Just as he was about to get out, the car door automatically locked, trapping Carter inside. In a panic, he found that he couldn't unbuckle his seatbelt and couldn't get out at all. Seeing this, Alex quickly rushed over to help, entering through the window to assist him in unbuckling the seatbelt. But just as the train was about to crash, the seatbelt still wouldn't come undone. At a critical moment, Alex saved Carter's life again. Claire rushed over and hugged Alex tightly, blaming Carter for almost getting Alex killed. Billy learned that Carter was next, and he decided to stay away from Carter. Alex discovers that Carter is not dead. Death has moved on to Billy, and Billy's next target is Alex, followed by Claire. Claire takes Alex to his home, where Alex decides to confront death alone. He gathers all dangerous objects together, covering sharp nails with bottle caps, and sets up oil lamps over a basin of water, preparing a fire extinguisher nearby. Even when opening a can to eat something, he wears gloves for safety. Unaware of the unexpected, he finally took his first bite of breakfast, constantly paying attention to everything around him. At that moment, a gust of sinister wind blew in, knocking over the contents of the trash can and hitting the fishing rod. The situation turned dire as the fishing line got tangled around the doorknob. In a critical moment, Alex rushed forward instantly. Fortunately, he blocked the door to the storage room. When he opened the door, he found a fishing hook inside. A rusty fishing hook could cause tetanus if it pierced him, which Alex recognized. He glared at death, determined to fight it to the end. By nightfall, Alex was still waiting for a sign, and he suddenly realized that he had originally been sitting in the back. Keys had brought him over to switch seats, but he hadn't sat next to Todd in Keys' spot. Instead, he had left, which meant it was now Claire's turn in the back seat. Claire was looking out the window when she noticed a power pole struck by lightning, and high-voltage wires were flying towards her, making her feel the danger. Alex quickly ran towards Claire's house, with the officer closely following him, but Alex managed to evade the officer's pursuit. Claire noticed that the cables outside were flailing wildly, and his dog was nearby, so he went out to save the dog. Suddenly, a pole was blown apart, and Claire narrowly avoided being hit by it as it crashed into the pool. Alex desperately ran towards Claire's house, but the relentless officer following him caused him to trip and fall, almost getting hit by a flying piece of wood. He realized the design of death, so the Grim Reaper prevents Alex from saving Claire. Water from the pool on Claire's side spills out, and if the nearby high-voltage cable touches the water, he will die. The moment electricity and water come into contact, Claire jumps onto the fence and climbs onto the house to escape a disaster. A shadow flashes by, and he keeps crawling towards the window. At the moment the cable comes flying in, he jumps into the room, and as soon as he enters, the television explodes. He starts to run, but wherever he goes, there are short circuits. Sparks fly from the malfunction, and he runs into the garage to escape by car, but the rolling door won't open. He has no choice but to crash through the control door to get out, only to find that a steel bar has fallen on the car, making it impossible to drive. Alex arrived at Claire's house to start searching for her. Claire finally managed to get the car moving, but a steel pipe blocked the way behind her, and a cable flew onto the car. The motor caused a heavy object to fall onto a fuel barrel, spilling fuel towards Claire. Alex finally found Claire and told her not to touch anything, as the car tires were not conductive. Alex grabbed a shovel to try to drive away the cable, but the shovel was broken by a West African. Meanwhile, a flammable gas canister flew under the car, and as the fuel was ignited, the canister caught fire as well. The car was about to explode. In order to save Claire, Alex decided to take control of the cables. If they could survive this ordeal, Claire would be safe. Claire disagreed, but Alex was willing to trade his life for Claire's. The officer also arrived at the scene. At that moment, Alex managed to control the cables, and just as Claire escaped, Alex was blown away, saving Claire from disaster. But Alex's fate remains uncertain. Claire quickly runs over to check on him. When the officer arrives, he finds that Alex has lost his breath, so he hurriedly begins to perform CPR. 6 months later, the three of them board a plane together, and Claire has become Alex's girlfriend. They go out to enjoy a vacation, relishing the beautiful moments of life. Carter and Alex have reconciled and no longer fight. Alex has a question. He saved Carter, but death passed over Carter and fell upon Billy. and then it was Claire. Yet he saved Claire again. Death had come for him, but no one intervened to save him. Alex didn't understand why he hadn't died. Claire felt it was destined that they wouldn't die. However, Carter believed he had been skipped over, thinking he wouldn't die anyway, and if there was a next one, it would be Alex. At that moment, Alex heard someone singing, and he saw a pile of nails fall from a shelf, while the nearby fireplace was ignited. A gust of evil wind knocked over the red wine, and when he looked down, he saw his position stained red with the wine. Alex decided to face everything himself, leaving Claire behind. Claire spotted a bus outside the window and quickly called out to Alex. It was the bus that almost hit him, but the bus crashed into a utility pole, which then fell onto the LED without Alex noticing. Fortunately, Carter rushed over to save Alex, unaware that he would be the next one in line.